Just want to start off this show by saying thank you to one of our partners for this upcoming event, the BioCats Flag Football Combine. It is going to take place here in Denver, Colorado, July 10th. Come scout the next best talents here of Colorado high school flag football. And if you are a Colorado athlete or in a neighboring state, please come to Denver on July 10th. Sign up for the showcase. Either follow at the BioCats on Instagram or visit www.biocats.com. Once again, thank you to BioCats Combine for helping bring this to life. And now, enjoy the show.
What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Playmaker's Corner podcast. I'm your host for today, Simon Villanos, aka Coach V. I got my other co-host here as well.
Coach Stoffer.
And we're back at it with our interviews. And well, our guest, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, your name, who you are, where you're from, and what school you're currently with as well.
Yeah, hi, my name is Alyssa Ramos. I am from the Colorado Springs area in Colorado. I just committed to Gardner-Webb University out in North Carolina, so I'll be attending there for my second year.
Awesome, and we love having you on the podcast here. For those of you who don't know, we actually got to cover Alyssa her senior year when she played for Doherty. I was the one who actually went out there, and it's real ironic because Alyssa, I don't know if you know this, but and we'll get to know you a little bit more here too. But the first game I think I got to watch you at was against Vanguard at Vanguard. And I remember because it was like right after school, I went up over there and you had, I think I caught this great clip where you mossed somebody and like burned him for a long touchdown. And funny enough, I'm actually the head coach at Vanguard now after that whole thing. Yup, got to represent the V's, so there you go. Just so you know, a lot of my players do remember you. They love following you, though, and they love seeing you, like, turn up, because it always makes someone feel better when, like, you know, somebody who's beat you pretty badly goes on and is super successful, right? And, of course, we root for everybody from the Springs here, so I just wanted to put that out there. I didn't know if you knew that, because that was the first game I saw you at, and then I saw you tear up my alma mater, which is okay, in TCA for the league champion. Yeah, y'all's first league championship. Yeah. So I didn't know if you knew all that. Did you or did you not?
No, I did not know that you were the head coach at Vanguard. But I do remember you getting that clip of the touchdown.
Okay, I got you. That's a good one. We'll have to find that one. I know it's somewhere in our TikTok, but we'll see. But when we have everyone on the podcast, and it's been a while since I've done an interview with another person, but this is just kind of tradition. You know, we like to get to know them. So I assume you're like a fan of sports and, you know, you love it. And obviously you play it, right? That's what you're doing right now in college. But, you know, I guess just as a fan, because there'll be two parts to this question, but as a fan, like, what's your favorite sports memory, I guess, growing up?
Growing up? I played a lot of sports growing up, so I have a lot of memories. Honestly, it would probably be a basketball game of hitting a half-court shot for a game winner. Because that was my favorite sport, and I only played flag my senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. So I guess that would be like my favorite memory growing up.
Okay. You hit the half court in high school?
I hit that half. No, it wasn't in high school. It was in AAU, so it was going into my freshman year.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's no, that's crazy. Okay. I see. Well, how about this? As far as flag football goes, do you have and I know, you know, you've played for a couple of years now, but do you have a favorite flag football memory that you really cherish as of right now?
Yeah, honestly, just the first win for my high school career, because it was a new sport to me. I've never played it, and just getting that first win for a sport that me and mainly all the girls on my team have never played before. And it was just so memorable, and it was a feeling that I've never felt for a sport. It was just so much joy and happiness.
Hey, no, fair enough, fair enough. Well, then let's talk about your story a little bit more. So, and you've already kind of started with it, right? Started your senior year, and you did not play before at all, right? Like youth league, maybe, or anything like that. No.
No, I played powder puff, but that was like once every
Sure.
year. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. All right. Remind me, who was, because I don't know if I was there for that. Who was the first team y'all got that win against? Was it a local team or a Denver team?
Well, actually, our first win, it was at, I think it was off season for a scrimmage. It was a Vanguard.
Oh, really?
It was a Vanguard tournament, actually, is what it was.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
3 or 2 games that day.
Gotcha. Jeez, those are the days of. Yeah. Hey, there's a reason I'm the head coach over there now, and that's no shade. But I got you. I got you. Okay. Well, hey, that's good to hear. So, how about you tell us just a little bit about your high school career for those of you who aren't like familiar and whatnot. I know obviously we have the recap episodes, so you could check those out. But why don't you kind of walk us through what I guess your high school career was, and just going from like the beginning to senior year, and I guess let's start with how you got into it and go from there.
Yeah. So I grew up in a big football family. My dad has been coaching for 14 plus years. Both of my brothers played football, and growing up, I was always involved in their practices where I was racing the boys, doing snakes with them. Like I was doing everything. I was always involved. I was always watching it. And I used to beg my dad when I was younger to play tackle football, and he would not let me because he did not want me to get hurt. So I never had the opportunity to play football, and I didn't know flag or anything. Like I just cared about tackle. And then like going into my senior year, towards the end of my junior year, I saw that Denver schools had flag. And so I begged my AD to get flag. And so I kept begging him, and I was like, come on, we got to get flag. And finally he was like, all right, if you get 18 signatures, we'll get flag. So I went around my school, got 18 signatures of girls that wanted to play flag. And then for my senior year, it was brought. So I actually helped start flag football at my school. And then honestly, that's where it took off. My dad coached me like through it. And then also my coach Pearson, who's the head coach at Doherty Flag Football. It was a new program, so there was a lot to learn for coaches and for us girls. But honestly, for our first year, we went 11-3. I think we absolutely killed it as a first team and girls who have never played before. It was a fun experience, and I loved it so much to where I was like, I want to see if I could go to the next level. So I just started emailing a bunch of schools, sending film, making highlights, and then I got a bunch of like coaches reaching back. I had 17 offers, I think is what it was, at my end of the high school career. And then I committed to King University in Bristol, Tennessee. And then that's where I had my freshman year.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's awesome. Well, I had no idea that you were the pioneer of starting Doherty flag football. Like, yeah. That's something that you get to wear forever. And I don't know. I just think that's really cool that you took that initiative and really pushed for it. And I think that every single athlete hereafter, has a little bit to thank your way, and any success that they have is a little bit of your success too. So that's really awesome. That's a detail that I did not know, and I'm glad to have learned just now. Sorry for jumping in there, Simon.
No, hey, you're all good, because I absolutely agree with that as well. Shout out Rodney, Coach Pearson. My God, I was just texting him a couple of days ago, actually, which was funny. But he's a great coach. Your dad's a great coach over there as well. I have so much respect and love for him. And you did help start a great program over there. And this is something that me and Cody have always like thrown around here. And you're probably biased towards this, but wouldn't you agree that basketball players usually make there's a pretty easy transition from basketball to flag football?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Because I was a point guard, So I had to see the court. So the transition of football and seeing the field was like pretty easy for me, honestly, and understanding the game.
And there you go. And I feel like that's something like every new program wants to start with the basketball players, because it translates so well. They see the field, you find your quarterbacks, you find your receivers. And I'm biased as well. Our lead receiver at Vanguard this last year, I think when you played her, she was at Coronado, but she played for Vanguard her senior year. But Sydney, she was a basketball player as well. And so I've always just felt that way. And so for for Doherty's team to be started by a basketball player, I think that's definitely shown. I mean, you just look at all the players that have come through, like Anila Thompson, Aubrey Smith from last year, right? And then they've obviously had more players that have been committed. I don't know if you've talked to them at all since that. I'm sure you have, right? Yeah. Being the vet, but it's I think almost every Doherty player that's went on to play women's college flag football has played basketball. Am I wrong there? Yeah. Okay.
No, wrong. Yeah, because my friend Maddie Wittenborn, she played basketball and she went on to Campbellsville University.
Yes.
And then Jada Simmons just graduated. She played basketball and now she's going to Defiance.
Yes, that is correct. Okay, well, hey, absolutely love to hear that. And since we're already talking about recruitment here, so you were the one who was did you cut up your own film and did you have to search and look for all that and whatnot as well? Or did you have some help, or how did that go, I guess?
Yeah, no, my dad has helped and assisted me along the way. He's helped me like how to write emails to coaches, how to break down my film, like how to like just edit everything. And he does a lot for me. He does a lot for me with the photography and videography. Like what I post on my Instagram, he helps a lot with that. He is literally like the number one person that's been helping me throughout this entire process and my whole recruitment.
Okay, yeah, and obviously teams loved what they see. I think it's hard to argue with the film, especially, I mean, it's a little bit different. Like 2 years ago, there were a lot more teams on the East Coast. Now it's like spreading out pretty evenly around the country, right? But film does matter. And so, I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, you obviously were able to help get all these offers. Your dad helped as well. And I'm sure Coach Pearson did the same thing. But, what were some key things that, you really wanted to, like, I guess, what was your process when it came to like emailing out coaches? Like what did that email look like? What did your highlight reel look like? What were some things you really prioritized? And I know there's a lot of emails to send out, but the recipe, I'm sure, is somewhat similar to each and every email.
Yeah. So honestly, I just looked up what schools were offering flag, especially the NAIs and JUCOs, because that's where it was super big. So I would just email the coaches, be like, hi, I am a senior at Doherty High School. I'm looking to play flag at the next level. And then I would write something else, and then I would link my YouTube to it because that's where all my game film, all my highlights were. And then creating my highlights, I just went onto Huddle, took what videos I could. I separated them into offense, defense, flag pulls, like pretty much everything, broke it down, circled myself, and then just made like 30 seconds to a minute highlights. And then if some coaches would ask for game film, so I would just send them game film as well. But yeah, I just honestly, the process was like repeated, especially with the coaches, because a lot of coaches ask the same thing. And then they'll ask what my goals were and what I'm looking for in a college. And I was just saying, like, I'm looking for somewhere I could call my second home, a great community, somewhere that is like family oriented. Like, I just want to be part of a big family because that's what sports are. It's a big family because you're with those girls and those people every single day, especially in college. So I was looking for that, and then looking for a program that I really wanted to grow and that's really going to push me to my ultimate goals. Like my ultimate goals of playing nationally, maybe one day playing the Olympics. Like, I want to be part of a family and a culture that's going to bring me to that.
For sure. And I loved how you went over just the things you want, right? Because I think every young athlete kind of looks at a scholarship offer, and this goes for any sport, right? A scholarship offer, and they're like, oh man, this college wants me, and then they get, bombarded with the trips and, all the things it could offer and whatnot. But I think, like you said, it's really important to know what you want and be clear about that as well. And so when it came down to it, obviously you picked King at the end. I'm curious, were there other teams that were close in that process? Did you take any visits at all as well? How did that, I guess, those final stages of high school recruiting look for you before you picked King ultimately?
Yeah, so before I even was very interested in flag, I took a bunch of visits for basketball, and I think I went on 5. But for flag, I only did go on 1, and it was King. When I got onto campus, I just immediately fell in love. I just felt like it was just somewhere I belonged and somewhere where I could see myself growing and developing as a player and as a person, academically and just a flag football player. And also financials come into play. I moved pretty much across the country to go to school and to play flag football. And I had a really good scholarship for there. And the coach, Coach Cameron, was great. He's a nice person. Don't have anything against him, even though I transferred. He is developing a team that I think will be really successful one day. They are just learning and growing at the moment right now. But I talked to a bunch of schools. I FaceTime a bunch of coaches, asked a bunch of questions. I had a list of questions on a piece of paper because I wanted to make sure all my questions got answered and make sure I was keeping in touch with those schools and coaches that really was something I was looking for and that was on that list that I had that were meeting that goal for me. But I don't remember my top schools last year that I had. I'm pretty sure it was obviously King, Warner University, Kansas Wesleyan University, and I have no idea what the other one was, but those were for sure my top 3. And then honestly, it just came down to where I fit best and financial.
Hey, fair enough. Kay, did Coach Mims say anything about losing out on Alyssa Ramos when you were out there in the spring at all?
Well, Mims, he's an awesome guy. We've got to build a great relationship with him over the past few years. And, I think that we got to interview him as well in Florida this past spring, and he's had his eye on Colorado. I think a little bit more than maybe some other coaches around the country have. And he didn't specifically talk about the heartbreak. Granted, this most recent time I saw him, he just won a national championship. So I think he was kind of on cloud 9. But, we've talked with him throughout the years in the whole recruiting process. And, he knows how to identify talent. So it's a huge deal to be on that list. And, in my opinion, I think he's one of the best talent ideas that there are in the country. So, for you to be on that list and for Warner to be on that list for you as well, I think is a huge testament to, what you were showing in high school and, your character coming out of high school and heading into college. So I think that's really interesting. And obviously, when you were looking at K-Dub, was that back when Coach Nguyen was there still? Okay, yep.
Yes.
So once again, she recruits Colorado very well, or at least, keeps an eye on the talent here. So, I think that, once again, it just reflects really well. And I think it's important for you to share as well just all the different aspects to consider, especially because, school is expensive, where you live can be expensive and whatnot. And so, you just have to look at the full picture and see what kind of comes out the other end for you. So I really appreciate, Simon, the questions that you asked and Alyssa, the way that you answered them as well. Because, the idea of this interview too, not only to share your story, but, we're hoping current players are listening to this and taking notes. If you haven't pulled out your notebooks yet, start taking notes now. Catch up on what Alyssa has already said and what you'll continue to say, because I think there's still plenty of ideas and topics from your story. And not to steal your thunder, Simon, but, you've talked about the recruitment process, what lined up, and then you were off. When did you leave for King? Did you go over the summer and start working out then? And kind of what did that college initially athletic experience, I should say, look like as you headed out of state across the country?
Yeah, so honestly, I didn't go out there earlier. I went out there when all the students went out. Coach Cameron didn't require us to go out there any sooner. But here, I was training one-on-one with my dad. I even had some of my teammates that were getting ready for college, like Madison Wittenborn, who I mentioned. We would work out together. I have a field right by my house. We'd run the hill. My dad had us doing everything that was going to prepare us. And then I even got with Pearson, and I went to some of the high school practices. So I just did as much as I can to prepare for what was coming and just wanted to make sure I set it myself for success and for that I'm not behind when I got to school. So honestly, I just worked out with my dad, lifted, did handwork, footwork, everything, and got in shape before going to college. And then Coach Cameron also had a workout plan for us, so I did that as well.
Fair enough. Well, let's, I guess, continue on that journey here. So, right, you're at college, you're going through preseason stuff. I guess, when you're not in season, what does that kind of look like? I know there are some athletes out there that are interested in going to college and, are interested in seeing what that routine looks like as a student athlete. But obviously, women's college flag football is in the spring. So you had a whole semester to settle in a little bit right into your classes. But I guess what did that off season, or I guess preseason leading up to the regular season kind of look like day-to-day wise?
Yeah, so going to college, managing time was a little bit tricky at first because, coming from living with your parents every day and them being on you to do your homework, make sure you're still doing your sports, make sure you're doing everything to you're completely alone. So it was a different adjustment. It was a little bit difficult, I'd say, for me at least, just finding that balance between school, football, and having a social life. But that preseason looked like we had lifts sometimes in the morning, and then we would go to class, and then after we would have a practice, or sometimes lifts would be at night. And then we'd obviously grab lunch and dinner between whatever time we had. I think we only did have one scrimmage before going into season against Lees McRae University. We lost by a touchdown. It was 6-14. So a touchdown and an extra point. I did have that first touchdown, by the way. But honestly, it was just more lifting. We did lifting 6 days a week, and then we were on the field 5 days a week. And then some was a study hall and just getting ready for the season.
We definitely saw that touchdown, by the way. Whenever a Colorado athlete does something great on the next level, we try to know about it, but we definitely saw that. And I feel like that scrimmage also affected our season previews of y'all as well, because that's a good Lees McRae team over there too. And so that's awesome to see.
Sure.
Okay, well then let's hop into the season, right? I mean, there are a whole lot of things going on, right? First off, it's a first-year program, so it's not just new for you, but it's new for everybody. You have, I assume it's our first year, or he would be a first-year head women's college flag football coach, but was he maybe a first-year head college coach as well?
Yeah, so he assisted at Milligan University for 2 years under the head coach.
Gotcha. Yeah. I know Coach Whitten. Okay, so I think, I might have seen him on a sideline at some point then a couple of years ago as well. Okay, I got you. So he's been around the game. He kind of knows how it should look like and whatnot. Well, going into the season, just tell us how that went. I mean, obviously, I could pull up y'all's schedule right now here, but obviously you had your conference, which, I will say hindsight's 2020, but it ended up being probably one of the tougher conferences as a first year conference that we've ever seen, right? We've seen the East Coast, we've seen what they've done over there up in New York and Illinois. Obviously the Cali JUCOs have done their thing, but when it came to first year play, and I know it's D2, so there's a little bit more money to throw around, but it seemed pretty intense over there and pretty tough. But why don't you tell us about, I guess, how those first couple games went And I do have your schedule pulled up here, and I guess how the season started and, where y'all's mindset was at.
Yeah, so going into the season, we all felt strong. We all saw like the polls and stuff, like we were ranked third of like the best in the conference. That first game was definitely a smack in the face. We had Emmanuel for that first game, I think is what it was. I don't remember the score, but I do remember being very mad at the end of the game, which is valid because I think it was like 52-0 or something. It was somewhere around that range. Honestly, it was just something I didn't expect just for how we were practicing, how just everything went. We lost the first, I think, 5 games of the season. I'm not sure on that, but it did take, we were on a losing streak for a little bit, which, I mean, it is a new program. It's a developing program. Coaches are learning, girls are learning. We had some girls that have never even played flag and some girls that only played patter puff, like I've mentioned before how I played, where they didn't get that year of playing flag football like some of us girls did. We did have some good competitive girls on the team. I would say JD Salvador, Elizabeth Jones. She did get hurt from that first game, but she is still a great flag football player, and there's many others. So that's why I do say that King University will progress years on. I see them developing a lot more and just being a strong program. But that season did not go how we expected it. It was definitely a tough season, but I also learned a lot. I know the girls learned a lot. I know Coach Cameron learned a lot. And we just took what we can from that season, and they're going to be better. And I took what I can to be better at my next college. But I'm glad that at the end of it all, I was able to have a great individual season. I was still able to have the stats that I did have, play like the way I did. I'm still so thankful for King. I will always love King and love what they did for me. But yeah, it was definitely a rough season.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like I said, like you said, it's a first-year program. There's a lot of figuring out here. Like I said, hindsight's 2020, so you never know with these things, and especially when you have this many like new programs that are all playing against each other, it's hard to predict what will happen. And obviously, when you're in practice and you're working with your teammates, you're gonna feel biased towards your team, right, and feel good about it. But that's just how it's going to be, right? And yeah, it was a tough go, but there were some good teams. You had Emmanuel, who was near the top of the conference when all was said and done, which I don't know if, I think we kind of wrote them off as a podcast. I don't know. That sounds a little bit harsh, but like in the preseason, we wrote them off a little bit because they had a rough first year. And they played all NAIA teams, which are like Florida and Georgia filled with just so many like great players over there. And so, if that is not an example of going from a rough first year to a great second year, then I don't know what is, right? And that's just something that's going to happen when you have so many new programs. Cumberland was a first year program who really loaded up with Tennessee talent. Huntingdon was another program, like I said, had a rough first year, had a way better second year, and just made that jump. And then obviously you have your conference. I'm just looking at it. Y'all had Lisa McRae and Wingate back or on the same day, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was something.
Okay, I got you. That's tough. I ain't gonna lie. That's two. I think at one point, those are 2 top 15 ranked teams in the country right there. Which is what it is. And then obviously you have Milligan, who was like top 5 in the country for forever until they got hit with the injury bug at the end. But y'all won some games here. Tell me about the first win that y'all had, because that must have felt great. Obviously you were doing your thing. You were producing on both sides of the ball, by the way, offense, defense, which is, as expected, right? We knew that from watching you here in Colorado that you were going to do your thing. But, to get that first win in program history, tell us about that.
Oh, it was like finally taking a deep breath, honestly. I was just like, finally, we got a win. It was just so relieving, and it was just so happy because after like every loss, like you it can be like a good loss. Like, yeah, it was a good game. I played my heart out, but like you just get sick of it, honestly, like being on that losing streak and then finally just getting that win. It felt amazing. And the girls were ecstatic. Like, it was just great. And I was like, finally, we're going to get back on our feet. We're going to start getting going. Like, we know what we got to do. If we want to feel like this again, we got to keep playing like this. So I felt like that's what made our season end better than the way it started, is we wanted to keep pushing. We wanted to have that feeling again, and just like not lose. Like, we know it was going to be only up from here because we already had a losing streak. We were already at the bottom. We're like, the only way to go is up. So that's what we just kept fighting for. And we're like, we're just going to give it our all until the end of the season.
For sure. And I mean, y'all ended up with, I'm pretty sure this is updated 4-10 record here, which, you know, it is what it is, right? But like I said, a lot of tough teams here, a lot of teams that, I'll just be honest, are just better than where a lot of other first-year programs are starting at. So obviously no shame in that. Well, let's, I guess, as we wrap up this chapter here of what happened, you know, you got your first win, got a couple other wins after that. I know against Ferrum, you scored a couple points against them too, or more, I want to say more than, or no, that was the one time you played them against, but you scored a decent amount of points against them. You got the win against Mount Olive. I think that was your second win, right? And then you got a big win against Chowan, and that was huge there too, right? So you ended with a nice little couple wins here at the end of the season, which I think is something you always want here. But, you know, let's talk about, I guess, the conference a little bit here, because you have transferred, right? You'll be transferring out of conference, but, you know, how about shouting out some of, maybe you shouted out some of your teammates, but, you know, who are some opponents or teams that, you know, maybe in hindsight you look back at and you're like, man, they were good.
Yeah.
You know, some players that, you know, you really respected, and coaching staffs you really respected, and I mean, just appreciated competing against.
Yeah, so my new coach now, Coach Brown, a lot of respect for him. He's a very cool dude. I love everything about him, love his coaching tactics. He's just a great person overall. Can't wait to be playing under him. And then another great coach was the Barton coach. I did like him a lot. Respectful coach. I give him a lot of respect. Yeah, those two, great. Even Coach Schlager. Like him a lot. He's a great coach, and I was hyped when they won for the entire conference. Wingate, I was rooting for them. But yeah, those coaches. My QB that just committed, or she was a first commit for Gardner Webb. The first time seeing her play, I was just like, okay, I like her arm. I could work with that arm. I love that. And then I'm not a huge, like, I don't know all the girls' names that I played against in the conference. But there is a rusher, I think is who she is for Wingate, that was just a dog. I think she went to Williamswood before, and I just remember watching her. I think she got offensive player of the year or defensive player of the year, and she did great. Like, that was amazing. But yeah, there's a good amount of girls, good competition in the conference that are still in the conference that didn't transfer out, that I do have a lot of respect for.
Yeah, for sure, and love hearing that. Your new QB, Mackenzie Hicks from Lise McRae. Yep, she actually, I don't know. Well, I think you mentioned it. She went to William Woods with Vaughn Brusso, who was the rusher that you're talking about from Wingate, and both of them are coached by Joe Schlager when they're over there as well, which is funny to think about how things change in a year or so, but that's the transfer portal era, right? So that's how that goes. But yeah, no, and so obviously Wingate, they end up winning it all, and you know, that's a great program. We told their story. And whatnot, Lise McRae made a great run too here. Now, with all that being said, you know, the season ended. You know, I guess let's talk about the transfer portal and I guess how all that kind of went down, you know. Yeah, let's start with that, right? So the transfer portal, right? I guess what were some of the reasons why you decided to transfer, and you know what really stood out when you made your final decision going to Gardner Webb?
Yeah, so entering the transfer portal obviously was not an easy decision at all, especially for my love for King and just the relationships I've made there. It was hard. It was a hard decision for sure and a hard conversation to have with Coach Cameron. But he wanted me to also go be great. He wanted me to do what was best for me. But honestly, when I entered the transfer portal, I just wanted a program that is going to get me to those ultimate goals that I've listed before, the national, playing nationally, Olympics, just trying to leave a legacy before I am done, like when my career ends, which is years down the road. Like, I just want to be able to be a part of a program that's going to push me towards that. I want to be coached by a coach that's going to push me towards that, and that it's involved in the USA stuff, like Coach Brown. I feel like he will, not feel like, I know he is going to get me there. And we've already been texting with each other about doing some USA stuff. But I feel like him and the girls in the program, we are going to be great this year. We got a good group of girls. I think we have 23 or 24 commits so far. But it's all great competition. These girls, I just know practice is going to be a battle every day. Earning a spot is going to be a battle, and that's something that I want. I want to be able to work every single day. I want to feel like my spot I have to compete for every single day. Like, no matter what, it's not safe. And just doing that, just constantly being in that battle is what's going to prepare me for the national level. But yeah, it was an easy decision. I reached out to a bunch of coaches. I had a bunch of coaches reach out to me. I had a few D1s reach out. I had University of Michigan, Gardner-Webb, obviously, FDU, Manhattan University, and Eastern Michigan University. I was in contact with all of those coaches. I got in contact with Coach Mims again for Warner. It was great talking to him. I'll always have a love for him. He's an amazing person. He's just great. But yeah, just leading up to my final decision of Gardner-Webb was the coaching. I did go on a visit a few weeks ago to the school, just so I can meet with my advisor, see the campus, see how it felt for me to be on that campus, to see if I can see myself going there, playing there for the next years of my career. And it felt great. I had like the same feeling that I felt like when I first stepped on King for the first time, just falling in love, but just knowing that it's going to be better. Everything's going to be better. The program's going to be better. And then I just fell in love. And then again, financial stuff. I had a few scholarships to different schools that made the decision a little tough. But at the end of the day, it came out being Gardner-Webb, just because of the relationship, how I felt towards the school, how I felt with Coach Brown, and just all of it.
For sure, and I appreciate you telling us about that, because I feel like it's never easy to enter the transfer portal, especially early on when you're with this program that you kind of started out with, right? You're both in your first years, and then you got to do what's best for you. And at the end of the day, that's just what it is when it comes to the sport, and especially on the college level now that it is, in my opinion, a little bit more business based. You got to make those decisions for yourself that'll help set up your future, right? And it is okay to be a little bit, and it's not a bad thing. I don't mean this in a bad thing at all, but it's okay to be selfish and, think about yourself and what you want, out of all of this at the end of the day. Right.
Yeah.
And, you picked a great school with Coach Brown over there. Obviously we covered his first year at Lisa McRae, and they did excellent. And then there are so many players that committed there as well that, man, we covered when they were freshmen over at whatever school, mostly William Woods, right? And they also had to make the same decision as you to transfer pretty early on. Mackenzie Hicks, Natalia Hernandez de Leon, just to name a few, Jaden Jalbert, right? Those were players that were part of that William Woods team that we called the Fierce Freshies, because it was an all freshman lineup, offense and defense, and a freshman coach too, and Schlager over there before they all, decided to go their own way. And so, to have players like that understand where you're coming from too, must feel great, right? You're all pursuing the same thing, which is greatness. And, it seems like a great spot for you. And congratulations, by the way. That's awesome to hear. Also awesome to hear that, you had options too, because I know that couldn't have been easy to turn down some of those scholarship numbers that, maybe they were throwing at you and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It was a process, but I'm glad to just made a decision that I'm content with and happy.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad. Well, then that kind of brings us back to the present here, So now you're back in Colorado Springs, I assume, right? You'll obviously go off to Gardner Webb when it is time, but let's come back to the state of Colorado a little bit and talk about how it is here. So, you only played 1 year of high school football here, right? I do gotta ask, do you follow any other players who, played here in Colorado and then are now playing on the college level at all? Outside of your own teammate and Maddie.
Teammates, I do. I can't think of their names off of my head, but Ariana Key, I am so excited to see her play at the next level. She is a dog. I respected her even when I was a senior playing, but I followed along through her high school career for senior year. There is 2 Arvada West girls. They just committed to Nebraska. They were in my conference. Both of them committed to Wingate University, but due to injuries, I didn't get to play against them. But I did follow along with them. Adelie, I forgot her last name, but she went to Warner and she got Freshman of the Year.
Oh, Avalon.
Avalon.
Yeah.
I was like, Adelie Avalon? Yeah. I did do a USA camp with her, and she's a cool person.
Okay.
I did a USID camp with her here in Denver, actually, and that's where I first met her, and she was even talking to me about Warner and before I made a decision at King, and yeah, I followed along with her career, saw that she got Freshman of the Year, and just absolutely killed it. Yeah, so those are the few players that I've been following along.
Okay. So there's a couple for sure. Well, obviously you played on the college level. You played here in Colorado. I just got to ask, how does Colorado talent stack against the rest of the country? I think when, you have this many players going across the country, it should be saying something. But, in your opinion, how does the talent here stack against the rest of the country and, what you've been able to see so far in your 1 year of college?
Yeah, I think Colorado is one of the states that's actually underrated. I feel like a lot of colleges kind of like go towards that Florida area, though like more in the South. They kind of lead more towards it there. But honestly, there's like some top prospects coming out of Colorado to where people are amazed when they're like, oh, like she's from Colorado and she's doing this. Like I feel like Colorado is like overlooked, and now coaches are starting to be like, I need to start looking in Colorado. Like I need to start recruiting there, because there is a bunch of talent. Like there's talent at Arvada West. There's talent at Grandview. Their QB, she plays for Lace Up. She is great. Like I know like a bunch of the Lace Up junior girls that are. I already know they're going to be great. But I feel like just colleges and coaches should not overlook the West area, should not overlook Colorado and California, because there are just a bunch of top players that in the nation that are just making a name for themselves. So yeah, Colorado has a bunch of talent, I feel like.
Hey, there you go. You hear here first, in case the numbers didn't show, mind you. But yeah, no, absolutely. And it's been great seeing that grow. And you mentioned Lace Up. Shout out Coach Rio. Shout out Brooke over there at Grandview as well. They're doing their thing, and they'll be next up here. Well, Brooke will graduate after this year, so there's another Colorado girl that'll be on the come up, and then Coach Rio, I'm sure. Well, he's always going to do his thing with Lace Up and Lacey Obel, so they'll do their thing as well. So yeah, hey, love hearing that. Well, I guess so. Staying in state, right, and still talking a little bit about Colorado. If you are, and I mean, you were in this point, or I guess a little bit in this. You had this perspective before, right? But if you are on the outside looking in, as in you are an athlete who wants to play flag football, but maybe your school doesn't have one, or maybe they do have one and you're not sure about it, I guess what would be your recruiting pitch to somebody that's like, hey, I want to do flag football, but maybe I don't know how to go about it, or I don't know if it's for me. Like, what would you say to that person, I guess?
Yeah, honestly, if you've never played flag, there's a bunch of people that have never played flag. Just go for it. Honestly, do something that's new. If you're a person that is a multi-athlete, you do track, you do basketball, softball, whatever it is, if you could do that, you could do flag. Like, as long as if you want to try something new and you play a lot of sports and you're just athletic, you're going to love flag. The game is just so much fun. It's a different type of sport that you've never played. Like, us girls have only watched football. We've never actually got the opportunity to actually play it and for us to be known as playing a football sport. So it's awesome. Like, for this sport to be expanding and growing as much as it has over the years is incredible, and just being part of those generations of making the sport become bigger and making it become better. Like, you're developing flag football. Like, go be a part of it. Go make a name for yourself. Just go try it out. Like, it's something new. If you don't like it, hey, you could say you tried it out. You don't have to go on to the next level. But if you want to, I didn't think I would go on to the next level for flag. I was going to go play basketball. My whole dream was basketball. And all that flipped literally just my senior year. I fell completely in love with this sport. So honestly, just try it. It's not going to do any harm to you if you don't try.
Absolutely, and I love hearing that. Partially because I am in the process of recruiting over here at Vanguard, and it's a very small school. So that's any athlete who could get, that's the same thing we tell them, never hurts to try, and we'll make it work too. So There you go. Now, I guess now that we're wrapping things up, is there, I guess, any advice that you give current flag football players, right? So flag football players who, have played, they put in the work, they've got a taste for it, they love it, right? Any advice that you give young flag football players that, are trying to make it to the level that you've reached here, the D1 level? Because I believe, as far as Colorado Springs is concerned, you're definitely the first one to go come in and play flag football. As far as, well, I guess you have Ariana Akey, Sarah Walker, and all them at Nebraska too. But as far as Colorado Springs concerned, I mean, Southern Colorado, it matters. And I feel like it gets overlooked here, as somebody who, grew up or went to high school here. I don't know if you knew this, but I went to Doherty my freshman year, actually. So I got connects.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then ironically enough, graduated from TCA after that. So okay. I'm from here. I know what it's like, to be a student athlete and try to work the way up. And sometimes, you get a little overlooked being in Southern Colorado, but it does mean a lot. It means something to, the athletes out here to see you go do it. But I guess what's something that you would tell athletes who are aspiring to be where you're at, flag football players who have tried it, who loved it, and want to make it their future like you have?
Yeah, honestly, go all the way. If you think you go all the way, go all the way. Putting in that extra work, making that sacrificing hangout times with your friends. It just depends on how bad you want it. If you want to get to the top level, like D1, do it. Put in the work. Anybody that puts in the work is going to do it. If you do that extra work, if you're just doing one more rep, one more pass, just anything helps. Like, just, you can do pretty much, you can do anything. Like, I just got up, like, at 5 a.m. sometimes, even during college, just doing extra work, going to the gym one more time. Like, any just extra thing that you do is going to get you to that next level. Any extra rep you do is going to get you to that next level. Just putting in that extra work and not doing the bare minimum, you're going to be great. You're going to go to that next level. You're going to go where your dreams follow, like what your ultimate goal is. You will reach it as long as you're putting in work, you're sacrificing what you need to do to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I mean, it's not going to be an easy journey, right? Can't guarantee that ever, right? Waking up at 5 a.m. is never easy. Waking up and doing the extra things is never easy. Or even figuring out what you got to do, that's never easy, right? But, everyone gets the same opportunities mostly when it comes to these things once you're in it, and you got to put in that work. So love hearing that. And by the way, love having you on the podcast. We appreciate having you out here so much. I think the big thing with the Playmakers Corner is that obviously we want to talk about the next generation of playmakers, which is you, right? And talk about women's and girls high school flag football. But we are based out of Colorado, and that is where we got our start. We covered this thing from the pilot years to the first year with you, and that was like a major part of our coverage too. And so just know that like we always support like whatever you do, whatever our Colorado girls do. We are so proud of y'all, and y'all continue to make us proud for a reason here. And like I said, I mean, this is just the beginning, and I'm sure you got some big things for the future here. So obviously, as we kind of wrap it up, you're going to Gardner Webb. You got some goals in the future. You got your playing career, right? Obviously, I assume you're gonna get your degree and whatnot too, and not go pro early and whatnot. But I guess what are some goals that you have for your future here? Some things you're looking forward to as you continue on in your journey.
Yeah, so some of my upcoming, for this upcoming year, some of my goals are honestly just to kill it again, to go for that player of the year, to go for that offensive year, because I know I'm going to work my butt off to get both sides, because that is my goal. I want to play both sides. I want to be known as a player that played both sides and just be a dog, honestly. But I'm just trying to get my name out there, trying to just be the best of the best, because I want to play against the best of the best. And I'm just going to work my tail off so that I'm able to play nationally. So just getting like those all conference, or even when we get a national championship for Division 1, whatever it is, like I just want to make my name known whenever we play those games, play those championships. Like I'm working for those awards, working to just be the best.
Absolutely, and love to hear that. And then I last question, or one of our last questions here before I let you go here. But in the far future, right? You played all the flag football you can. You pushed your body. You are happy with where you're at. Can you maybe see yourself coaching in the future? Is that something? I know you're a coach's daughter, right? So there's always going to be those paths, right? But is that something that might even interest you in the future?
Yeah, that is something I have considered, even just doing it for fun, even as a side job, to coach, because I love the game so much to where just coaching girls. I was even at my first high school I went to, Highlands Ranch High School, yesterday, teaching the girls, coaching the girls, showing them drills and stuff. And I love it. I love just seeing girls grow and develop and just learn something new and just see them become better. Like, it makes me happy. So yeah, I definitely do see myself coaching in the future, and I'm competitive, so.
Hey, I got you. All right, well, hey, just gotta get the clip, for when you get that first coaching job. Just gotta get the clip. You already know. So I got you. Okay. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much for being here on the podcast. If you want, you could go ahead and plug your socials and whatnot so that people can follow your journey and whatnot. And yeah, go for it.
For my social media?
Unless you don't want people following you, but that's okay. All right, I got you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know it off the top of my head, but my flag football account is Alyssa_flag football 18. And then I do have a Twitter. It is Alyssa Ramos 3. I'm pretty sure is what it is. And then I do have a YouTube it's Alyssa Ramos 9733. Hey. If y'all want to go check any of those out.
There you go. Follow the journey. Show her some love. And once again, I mean, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Appreciate it a whole bunch. And I guess my bad. I keep saying it's like this is the last thing. But like I said, it's been a while since I've done one of these interviews. Truly the last thing before I end this recording here, and then we could say our proper goodbyes. But what? Or I guess not what, but are there any people that you want to shout out that have helped you so far in your career? I know you already kind of done a little bit of that, but I guess just take the opportunity to shout out some people, some players, so whoever, who you're just thankful for in general.
Yeah, to shout out, obviously, my dad. He's the one that is always pushing me, helping me. Also with my mom, Joshua Ramos and Avita Ramos. Those are both my parents. They're my biggest supporters. They're always pushing me. I want to shout out Lace-Up Jr., Coach Rio. He let me come do some workouts, come do some scrimmages with them. It was awesome. I appreciate it. Love them. Great girls, great coaches. It's amazing. If there are girls out there, you're looking for a club team, that is my number one recommendation. Y'all are going to learn so much. You're going to play against one of the top, and you could become one of the top players. And then just my teammates, Jada Simons and Maddie Wittenborn, for working out with me every day. Even Bella Marquez, they're hitting the field with me every day, and making me better. And I'm making them better. So just thankful to all those people and blessed to have them in my life.
And there you have it. Hey, shout out Bella. She's up next, by the way. She's we don't play her this year, thank God, but she's a real one. She'll be the next great Doherty player to go play college ball and do her thing. So there you go. But hey, Alyssa, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. We wish you all the best of luck moving forward. We'll be in contact and whatnot. And yeah, thank you again.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I had a blast, and thank y'all for letting me come on here and talk about my journey. And yeah, just being an inspiration.
And that'll do it for this episode of the Playmaker's Corner podcast. I was one of the co-hosts, but mainly led by Coach V. Feel free to follow us on all social medias, whether that be Instagram, Twitter /X, TikTok, or Facebook. And a huge shout out to the BioCats Combine that is coming up on July 10th. Please follow that page or visit our pages to see all about that and what they have coming up. But once again, this has been Playmakers Corner podcast. You're at Playmakers Corner on Instagram, at Playmakers Corner on Twitter /X, and Playmakers Corner anywhere else. And be sure to follow us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. We are signing off.